Ahora sí. Let me make sure that I'm actually recording the session. Now I am, yes. Guys, remember that one of the things that we have been discussing these days is to choose the topic of your presentation. Most of you have already chosen. For the moment, Joan Sebastian, you haven't decided. I want to share the link again. Probably if you don't remember. Tengo una pregunta aquí en el chat. Sorry. Remember, guys, that the idea is to choose like the topic, you know, that you will be presenting eventually in B1.5. Well, this is related to the general aspects of the course. I'm going to tell that in Spanish. Aprovechando que veo que está Joan Sebastián, creo que Mendy ya está, para que me escriban acá cuál es el tema del cual ustedes van a estar hablando en su proyecto. ¿Listo? Recuerden que ese tema va a ser la base para todos los 5 niveles que tiene el B1. Eventualmente, pues en B1.5 ya será la presentación como tal oficial. ¿Listo? Ayer afortunadamente ustedes hacían varias preguntas que creo que fueron súper pertinentes como para poder aclarar el panorama acerca del tema a escoger. Y también yo les decía, revisen los parámetros. Con los parámetros ustedes también como que van diciendo, esto me sirve, esto no me sirve, este tema aunque me gusta, como que siento que de ahí no puedo hablar tanto. Entonces para que Joan Sebastián Pavón y Mendy, que son los 2 últimos que hacen falta, hablen, o bueno, más bien escriban cuál es el tema del que van a hablar. Recuerden que el próximo jueves, pasado mañana, vamos a estar trabajando sobre esta primera entrega y pues para ir adelantando por lo menos lo que es esa lluvia de ideas, ya tener la información, ¿listo? Referente a ese tema del cual ustedes van a hablar. Entonces ahí quedan pendientemente y Sebastián, que creo que ya están conectados, ¿listo? I just wanted to remind you that part. I think I'm going to take attendance. One thing in the chat. Se cerró a las 5, lo puse a las 5. My mistake. Okay. Well, anyway, we will check the statements. I think that I will open the PowerPoint again for the ones that did the activity that I told you yesterday about used to, you know. But first, let me take attendance as usual. Karen Victoria Acevedo.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Steven Santiago Fonseca.
Here, teacher.
Okay. Sergio David Gómez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Kiara Lisette Martínez.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Jorge Jair Moreno.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Natalia Navarro.
Present.
Okay. Diego Fernando Olarte.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Dana Valentina Ortiz.
Present, miss.
Okay. Manuela Ortiz.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Joan Sebastián Paón.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Beatriz Pedraza.
Miss.
Okay. Hamilton Peña.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Xiomara Caterine Rincón. Xiomara Caterine. Not here for the moment. Jessica Paola Ríos.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Caterina Alexandra Rodríguez.
Present, miss.
Okay. Marlon Yesid Sánchez. Not here for the moment. Mendy Fabián.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Manuel Alberto Sepúlveda.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Mayra Alejandra Vega.
Present teacher.
Okay, and Vanessa Zambrano.
Present teacher.
Okay, and I saw that Marlon is here, right? Let me see the chat. There you are. So for the moment, the person that is absent is Xiomara Caterina Rincon, right? Well, let's see. Technically tonight we're going to start our new unit, but I would like you to have a look at the activity that we had yesterday. We didn't really have like enough time, you know, and then I told you like this activity was going to be done as a homework. Yesterday, we started on the first part of the session, of course, to talk about would and used to. And the idea of them was talking about past. I just like was told that the date was set well today, but until 5 and not until 6. Actually, that was my mistake. I'm really sorry about that. So only 5 of you could do it. The ones who did it well were and well, Manuel, Beatriz, and Steven. Very good. Let's have a look at the answer key. So you can like have a look at the possibilities, probably just to refresh your memory. Remember that the idea was to choose between the two possibilities. And I was telling you, let me go back a little bit, that the case of used to can be used to talk about the states and to talk about actions, while the case of would is only to talk about actions in the past. And I was telling you that at the end of the day, if we are talking about past, well, of course, we can use past simple. But with these two new structures, we can make our ideas, you know, or what we want to say a little bit more dynamic. Let me go back to the answer key. So in the case of number 1, used to live. Number 2, play is an action. So it was like okay to use would or used to. The case of number 3, the only possibility that we had is used to. Remember that have in this case can't be considered, well, it's not an action. Well, it is an action, actually more like a state, let's put it like that. Play with any of the possibilities. In other cases, it was more about grammar. Notice that in this case, talking about dance tango, sorry. Live is a state, so we can't use would. That is the reason why we had to choose used to. In this case, we had a negative statement. In the case of the negatives, it was more like a tricky part in the verb was with some, let's say, mistakes in terms of the type of conjugation. We also said that we can use used to with questions. Once again, in number 9, get up is an action. It's okay. Number 10, notice that we are talking about the verb to be, that basically is a state, so we have to use used to. We had number 11, would or used to, and number 10, would, okay? In that one, the other possibilities were tricky in terms of grammar. And those were the answers. In this case, remember, the idea is to continue talking about past, you know, just like to enrich what we already know about past simple. We can include would and we can include used. Guys, do you have any questions from this part before we officially begin our new unit tonight?
For me, Gati, en Google sería didn't would o didn't
Wouldn't, Beatriz. Let me send it to the chat. And I'm gonna write a verb just like as an example. Of course, you would use the verb that you consider is the one that you need to use. But that would be the negative form, okay? Any other question, guys? Okay. Let's see the chat. Yes, Xiomara, I have just adjusted the attendance. Okay, well, let's officially go to our unit that we are going to start tonight. Remember that in this case, we will be having a look at Unit 3. Let me share, in this case, this presentation in particular. On Unit 3, we are talking about across the globe. That would be like the general aspect of our unit. And tonight, we will have a look at a grammatical component. As you see, we will be talking about a review, because actually it is a review. We are not really talking about new information related to comparatives and superlatives. On this first part of the session, we will be covering these 2 pages. Remember that tonight we will be working on the 2 sections of the session. In this case, we're talking about pages 26 and 27. Of course, we have some vocabulary to analyze, but the focus, why not, of this first part of the unit is talking about comparatives and superlatives. Let's have a look here at the different topics, although we already know some of them already. Comparatives and superlatives, different ways of comparing. Then in terms of vocabulary, we will be talking about features and sites, adjectives for describing places, task, provide an insider's guide, and eventually when we will have a look at the language life, it is travel problems and a travel blog, because well, we already know that when we're traveling, not everything tends to be perfect. As I was telling you, this unit, there is a microphone open. I don't know, you have a question maybe? Okay. As I was telling you, in this unit, we are going to start with the grammatical component. We will have a look at the comparatives and superlatives. Guys, in your book on page 27, here we have a quiz, you know, that is divided like into 2 parts. We're going to do the quiz, you know, probably talking about general information that you already know. You will notice that the idea or most of the information that we're using in the quiz is talking about geography. It is more like related to that part. And the idea is for the moment, you know, to choose the answers that you consider could be the real answers of the questions. Probably you already know the information. In other cases, maybe we are just predicting, no problem, because after we finish the quiz, let's put it like that, then we're going to listen to check our answers. So, as I was telling you, here we have 2 parts. Part 1 is talking about people. Part 2 is related to countries and cities. And of course, you're going to help me with the quiz. I'm going to read the instruction that we have in here. It says, there are over 6 billion people in the world. Find out more about them. Look at the nationalities in the box. We have Americans, Danes, Germans, Indians, and Mexicans. We're going to answer these 5 questions, matching with the corresponding nationality. Once again, maybe you already know, and maybe we are predicting. It's okay. I'm gonna ask you, as usual, for some help. Let's see how we could match the answers with the questions. Diego Fernando, could you read question number 1 from the section people, please?
Yes, teacher. Who are happier and more satisfied than any other nationality in the world?
What do you think, Diego? If we had to predict.
Mexicans.
Okay, we'll see. Let's have a look at question number 2. Hamilton, could you read it, please?
Yes, teacher. Who work harder than any other people in the world?
What do you think, Hamilton, from these nationalities that we have in here?
Indians.
Indians? Okay, we'll see. What about question number 3? John Sebastian, could you read it, please?
Who are more likely to go to the cinema than any other nationality in the world? I think Americans.
Okay, we'll see. Well, let's have a look at the second part of the list. Let me ask Valentina Ortiz. Number 4.
Who discuss politics more often than any other nationality in the world?
What do you think, Valentina? You can repeat nationalities, you know, from the box. Maybe your classmates already use them, but from your perspective, which could be?
America.
Americans? Okay. And to finish, Sergio, what number 5, please. Sergio?
Teacher, Mexicans.
No, but read it.
Okay. Who are the funniest people in the world according to a survey of 30,000 people of different nationalities?
Okay, and you said Mexican, right?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. Yeah, remember, guys, that for the moment we are just predicting. As I was telling you, maybe some of you already know the answer of some of these questions, but we are just having a look at the information, the possibilities. Of course, in the moment, we will see. Let's have a look now at the second part. Remember that on the second part, our topic is related to cities, well, countries and cities. Once again, I'm going to read the instruction for you. It says, it's a big, wide world. What do you know about it? Choose the correct country or city from A to D. Let's have a look at question number 6. Karen Victoria, could you read it, please?
Number 6.
Yes.
Which city is most popular with tourists than London, New York, or Rome?
What do you think from the possibilities that we have in here?
I think it's the B. Sorry.
Okay, we'll see. Let's have a look now at question 7. Manuela, could you read it, please?
Yes, teacher. Which is the largest country in South America after Brazil or Argentina?
Argentina.
Argentina is, I think, is Chile.
Okay, we'll see. Thank you very much. Natalia, number 8, please.
And which US city is the farthest north? I did that. Chicago.
Okay, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, we're predicting. Let's have a look at number 9. Jessica, could you read it, please?
Which country has the longest coastline?
Coastline.
Coastline is A, Indonesia.
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 We will see in a moment. And number 10. Mandy, could you read it, please?
Which is the tallest city in the world? The city with the most skyscrapers.
So what do you think, Mandy? Having a look at those 4 possibilities.
Maybe Tokyo or Hong Kong for me, teacher.
We will see which one has the highest skyscrapers. Well, guys, notice that we are just predicting. Probably in some cases we are even guessing, you know. Remember that now what we're going to do is to listen to actually know which answers are the ones that are correct. So you're going to do actually 2 things. Remember, guys, that we have the information on the quiz on page 27, and I'm having a look at the structure here on page 26. 1, to check the answers, basically to know what the answer is for each question. And second, a very important part, the idea, guys, is that for each answer, you are going to write one more piece of information, So it is not only, for example, I'm going back here to the quiz, it is not only to choose, let's say that the nationality number 2 was Indians. Okay, it's Indians, but what extra information they are providing about this question in particular. So notice that you have to do two things. One, to answer the questions. Notice that in this case was to match the nationalities. In this case, to choose from the 4 possibilities, and also to write down something extra that they say about each answer. Okay, so 2 things. Choose the answer, write extra information. Guys, do you have any questions about the instructions? No questions? I'm gonna take this over here. Let me see the chat. Thank you very much. There we have it. So I'm sure that you also are having a look at the book, but just like to make it easier for you. I hope. Guys, we're gonna listen twice. Notice that the recording is 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Actually, it is a lot of time. So we need to make sure that we listen to it only twice. 3 times would be almost 10 minutes. First would be a lot of time, and second, it will be quite, exhausting for you. So make sure to answer the questions and to write down the answers, the extra information, actually. Well, no more interruptions, let's listen.
Unit 3, Recording 1, Part 1. 1.
A recent survey found that the citizens of Denmark were the happiest in the world. The least happy people in the world were the citizens of Togo in Africa.
2. According to a recent report from the OECD, the hardest working people in the world are the Mexicans. They do about 10 hours of paid and unpaid work every day. In terms of paid work, Koreans come top of the list with long working hours and an average of just 3 days holiday a year. 3.
Indians go to the cinema more than 3 billion times a year. That's far more than any other country. Malaysia, by contrast, has the lowest rate of cinema attendance in the world.
4. A recent survey found that Germans discuss the subject of politics more than any other nationality in the world. 29% of Germans said that they discuss politics frequently, compared to, for example, 13% of British people. 5.
According to a recent survey of 30,000 people in 15 countries, the funniest people in the world are the Americans. People who took part in the survey mentioned American TV programs, such as The Simpsons and Friends, as the reason for their choice.
Part 2. 6. 10 million people visit New York every year, but Paris is the most popular city in the world for tourists. Over 15 million people visit every year. 7.
The largest country in South America is, of course, Brazil. It covers about half of South America. The second largest is Argentina, and the third largest is Peru.
8. Chicago is the furthest north, although it is only slightly further north than New York. San Francisco is the furthest south. 9.
Canada has by far the longest coastline in the world. It's over 200,000 kilometers long. That's almost 4 times as long as Indonesia's coastline, which is the second longest in the world.
10. The city with the most skyscrapers in the world is not actually New York, as most people think. It's Hong Kong. It has 1,218 buildings that are over 100 meters tall. New York, which is second on the list, has 562.
Let's listen the second time.
Unit 3, Recording 1. Part 1. 1.
A recent survey found that the citizens of Denmark were the happiest in the world. The least happy people in the world were the citizens of Togo in Africa.
2. According to a recent report from the OECD, the hardest working people in the world are the Mexicans. They do about 10 hours of paid and unpaid work every day. In terms of paid work, Koreans come top of the list with long working hours and an average of just 3 days holiday a year. 3.
Indians go to the cinema more than 3 billion times a year. That's far more than any other country. Malaysia, by contrast, has the lowest rate of cinema attendance in the world.
4. A recent survey found that Germans discuss the subject of politics more than any other nationality in the world. 29% of Germans said that they discuss politics frequently, compared to, for example, 13% of British people. 5.
According to a recent survey of 30,000 people in 15 countries, the funniest people in the world are the Americans. People who took part in the survey mentioned American TV programs such as The Simpsons and Friends as the reason for their choice.
Part 2. 6. 10 million people visit New York every year, but Paris is the most popular city in the world for tourists. Over 15 million people visit every year. 7.
The largest country in South America is, of course, Brazil. It covers about half of South America. The second largest is Argentina, and the third largest is Peru.
8. Chicago is the furthest north, although it is only slightly further north than New York. San Francisco is the furthest south. 9.
Canada has by far the longest coastline in the world. It's over 200,000 kilometers long. That's almost 4 times as long as Indonesia's coastline, which is the second longest in the world.
10. The city with the most skyscrapers in the world is not actually New York, as most people think. It's Hong Kong. It has 1,218 buildings that are over 100 meters tall. New York, which is second on the list, has 562.
Okay, guys, we have already listened twice. You already knew the idea. First, of course, to answer the questions, and then to have some extra information about each of the questions. In some cases, they were talking about 2, even like 3 things. The idea was actually to get, let's say, 1. And I'm pretty sure that all of us can chip in terms of the type of aspects that you already collected from every single answer. Let's have a look at number 1. Let me see the list. Oh, we're here. Very good. Well, I hope you're not driving, Beatriz. So, what up?
I am not bad. I start with I listen, teacher. No problem.
Beatriz.
Sorry, teacher, but I stop. I can hear. Sorry, I can hear, but I stop. No problem.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you really fast. Who are the happier and more satisfied than any other nationality in the world?
Indians. I hear Africa, but maybe Indians.
Not really. Well, let me ask someone for help. In this case, I would like to ask Kiara for the first one.
Teacher, sorry, my connection, the internet is bad. I don't hear it.
You didn't hear the first one? Oh my God. Okay, Marlon, what about you?
I think that it's Danish.
Danes.
Danes?
Yeah. In this case, well, when we're talking about the nationality is Danes. Very good. Yes, so those are the happiest. And Beatriz was saying that he said something about Africa. What was the information about Africa, Marlon? Do you also have that piece of information? Sorry, Marlon.
Eso no lo escuché muy bien.
Okay, you didn't get that one. Let's see. Dancer? What do you mean, Jorge?
The name of the city.
The city? Not really. Mandy, you said that you're not driving. Did you get any extra information from the first question?
Yes, teacher. A survey says that the happiest people, the happiest people is in Africa.
No. The happiest people are the Danes.
They say that there are less.
Are the Danes in Africa?
Less happy.
Sorry, no, the Danes are from Denmark. What did you say, Natalia?
That say that in Africa people is less happier.
Yeah, they were talking about the opposite, like the ones that are the happiest are the Danes. And the ones from Togo in Africa were the least happy. That was it on the first one. Okay. What about the second one? So Danes was the answer for the first one. Maria, who work harder than any other people in the world?
The Mexicans.
Any extra information that you collected?
The seconds are Gregorians. I don't remember. No.
Okay. Yeah, the Koreans are included there. They are actually on top. Did you guys get why the Koreans are on top?
Yes, teacher. Mexicans are like on the top of paid and unpaid work, but the Koreans are on the top of the paid ones, and they just rest 3 days in a year. They just have 3 holidays.
Exactly, they only have 3 holidays. That looks terrible.
Yes.
Okay, Manuel. Thank you very much. Santiago, what about number 3? Let me see the chat quickly. Okay, internet problems.
The nationality who discuss about politics more is German.
Number 3.
Number 3, sorry. And number 3, Indians. It's the answer.
Indians.
Indians.
Any extra information, Santiago, that you got?
I listened that they can't go to the cinema more than Americans, and I don't remember the exactly times at the week.
Okay. Well, they don't really say like the frequency during the week, but they talk like during the year, like 3 billion times, which is a lot. Any other information, guys, that maybe you have from number 3 that you would like to share?
They say that in Malaysia, people go less in the work, I believe, go less to the cinema.
Very good. Natalia, yes, Hamilton?
Teacher, about India and cinema, I think that is a little weird because India has a big population, and for that, I think it's more usual to go to the cinema in a year.
Okay. Well, they said 3 billion times. I think that it's...
Yes.
You think that could be more, Hamilton? More than 3 billion, maybe?
I think 1 billion point 600. I don't,
Okay.
perdón. I don't remember, teacher. Más o menos.
More or less. Well, they say that Indians go 3 billion times. Probably you're talking about the lowest rate, that is the one from Malaysia. Yeah, but for the Indians, it was 3 billion times. Well, they are too many. Okay. Number 4. Let me ask in this case, Sebastian.
Which city is more popular with tourists than London, New York, or Rome?
No,
It is
Sebastian, number
5.
4. We
4?
are still on part 1.
Okay, okay. And number 4 is German. German.
What extra information did you get?
Teacher, my computer is off and the information have in the computer.
Okay, Sebastian. Well, guys, which of you would like to share the extra information that you got from question number 4? It is Germans, absolutely. But what else did you listen from that one?
No, teacher, I listened. Sorry, I was going to say that 29% of the Germans discuss politics in like really often, and compared to they say that it's too much compared with the British, which the percentage is 30%.
30 or 13?
Sorry, 13. Sorry, yeah, 13%.
Okay, that would be it from that one. Manuela, number 5 to finish this first section of people. We already know, because we don't have any other possibility, that the answer is Americans. But why?
Because they have good entertainment with TV programs, and they say something about the friends that maybe this is a reason for choose no, I don't remember.
Well, they're talking about the show Friends, right?
Yes, and another one is a cartoon TV program. I don't remember the name.
Who remembers the name so we can help Manuela?
And the series Friends and a lot of TV programs. I don't know more. I don't remember the name. The Simpsons.
The Simpsons, yes, Manuela, very good. Those, that's the one. Good, basically. Excellent, Manuela. Basically, that was information shared about question 5. Let's move to the next part. Well, notice that in the second part, they were talking about geography a lot. So I really, really hope that you could collect all those details. Jorge, what about question number 6? Which is more popular with tourists, of course, without taking into account London, New York, or Rome?
It's Paris.
What extra information did you get from that one, Jorge?
They said about 5 million of people visit the city every year.
Okay. Is it 5 people?
5 million people.
I mean, sorry. But it's 15. Yes, Marlon. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Very good, Jorge. It's always crowded, I think. Jessica, what about question 7? The third largest country after Brazil and Argentina.
Is the Chile?
Is it Chile? Yes, Catherine.
Yes, Miss, it's Peru.
It's Peru. Very good. Catherine, did you get any extra information from question 7?
Oh, no, Miss, sorry.
No, don't worry. Well, actually, the extra information wasn't about Peru. I'm sure that you already noticed that. Hamilton, yes.
Teacher, the first largest country is Chile. Our information.
But, well, you know, Hamilton, the guy in the recording said Peru.
Yes, but the answer is, for
Chile?
example, no, third largest is Peru, but the first largest, the most largest is Chile.
The largest is Chile? No. Hamilton, the largest is Brazil.
Brazil. The second, entonces, the second.
The second is
the
Argentina.
second one is Argentina.
No, Hamilton, go to a map with the kilometers, square kilometers. No. Well, according to the information, the first is Brazil. The second is Argentina, and the third is Peru. Actually, they don't talk about Chile in the conversation. I saw 2 raised hands, but now I only see Catherine's, which was for the previous question. Guys, did you get any extra information about this? And I was telling you that they actually don't talk about Peru in the extra information, you know? They talk about Brazil.
They said it's a half of South America.
It's half of South America. Absolutely. Thank you, Manuel. That was the extra information from that question. A little bit different from the first part, that actually the extra information was about the answer. In this case, it wasn't like that. Xiomara, what about question number 8? The farthest north. Talking about USA, of course.
Chicago, teacher.
Very good. What else did they say about those cities?
I don't remember, teacher.
Okay, Simara, don't worry. Well, guys, yes, Vanessa.
Teacher, okay, the first is Chicago, and the second is New York, and the third is San Francisco.
Okay, well, San Francisco is the farthest south. Yeah, they said that Chicago is just like a little bit farther than New York, but it's the farthest north. And the farthest south is San Francisco. Thank you, Vanessa, very much. Let's see, we're about to finish this geography quiz. Question number 8. Karen Victoria. I'm repeating the question. Question number 9. Largest coastline.
Teacher, sorry, I didn't hear it.
I believe you, Karen. Let me ask Kiara. Catherine, you raise your hand. It is Canada. Okay, Beatriz, very good. Catherine, you raise your hand, right?
Yes, Miss. Canada have 200 kilometer longer.
Long.
Yes.
Very good, Catherine. Any other extra information, guys, that you listened from question number 9?
They said it's like 200,000 kilometers, which is 4 times the Indonesia's coastline.
Very good. That was like the compliment on that one. Nice. Oh my God. Excuse me. And to finish this quiz, Valentina, number 10. Tallest city in the world.
Leo la pregunta también, profe.
Nah, we already read it. No, just the answer. So, Tokyo, London, Hong Kong, or New York?
New York.
Not really. They said that people usually believe that it is New York, but actually it isn't New York. Catherine, what about you?
Hong Kong, Miss. They have 1,280 buildings, and New York is the second one.
Could you repeat the number of buildings, Catherine?
1,218 buildings.
Excellent. Very good. And as Catherine already said, the second one is New York. Anything else, guys, that you would like to add? Okay. Very good. Okay, notice all the information that we could collect. I know that usually these activities tend to probably take more time than the usual, but it's a listening. And of course, our intention, I'm sure that you already noticed, was to get information also for the grammatical part. Having a look at the book, the next activity that we have in here is to classify, the statements, taking into account these two big categories that, of course, you already know. We're talking about the comparatives and the superlatives. Let me go back to the quiz. If we have a look here at the quiz, remember, I'm sure that we are just refreshing your memory. Natalia, from part 1, which would you consider are statements using the comparative form?
The first one, no, so, yes, the first one, the second one too.
We have happier, more satisfied.
Yes. The next, than, no.
Okay, let's use than.
The third also.
More likely.
So the cinema down. The next is more often than any other.
More often than.
I think that's it.
That would be it. Very good, Natalia. What about the second section, Santiago? Which are the comparative ones?
The comparatives. Teacher, at the 5 statement, funniest, the funniest is not a comparative.
It is not a comparative.
Okay. More popular. The third largest, maybe, and the 7.
That is not comparative.
But there's okay. Longest, the tallest. No, there is no more.
No more. So which the ones that we have left would be the superlatives, right? So we have the funniest in number 5. In number 7, largest. Well, the, we can eliminate it. Third, of course, is optional, largest. We already had the farthest. I'm sorry for my shaky hand. Then we have the longest. And then we have the tallest. Very good. Guys, as I was telling you at the beginning of the session, basically the idea on this first part is to refresh your memory, talking about comparatives and superlatives. I'm sure that you already know this information, but similar to what we have done most of the times, we're going just like to refresh those aspects. Here we have just underlined with two different colors for you to have in mind the difference between both of them. But let's have a look at the, let's see, real differences that we can have about them. Am I sharing the whole screen? Yes. Okay. So comparatives and superlatives, they do exactly the same thing. They compare. Maybe the idea is a little bit obvious for the comparatives because the name is comparatives, but superlatives do exactly the same. The difference is that comparative usually is about two things, while superlatives, we're talking about one aspect that is being more predominant among many other things. But at the end of the day, they are comparing. So we divide this group, you know, and as you already noticed, there are some very, let's say, internal rules that are very easy to identify. When we're talking about the comparatives, we have to make sure that we identify how long the adjective is. If the adjective is short, we are going to add this suffix, you know, ER. For example, mobile devices are smarter now than 5 years ago. If the adjective is a little bit long, then the word that we use is more, which is a little bit similar to Spanish, you know. For example, smartphones are more expensive now than 10 years ago. Notice that at the end of the day, I'm comparing the smartphones from the present with the smartphones from the past. That is basically the idea that is being compared. Of course, you know that in English, probably the thing that could be a little bit tricky is in terms of spelling. Usually, we only add the suffix and that's it. In some cases, we have to be careful, you know, to double the consonant. You already know the typical rule of consonant, vowel, consonant. We repeat the consonant only in a spelling, you know. It is not like we have to extend the pronunciation. That is not the idea. And as you already know in English, well, the Y suffers a lot. This is not an exception. We have to make the whole transformation in order to write it down like this. Of course, keeping in mind that we're talking about a short adjective. So that is like the idea of the first group. Sorry, remember that basically the superlatives is the same idea, but we're highlighting one element among more elements around it. We can say, for example, internet is considered the best invention of the 20th century. There are many, like million inventions. So we can consider that internet highlights or is more relevant in a group of million things. And that is why we're using the superlative. Instagram is one of the most popular apps these days. Once again, there are many apps, not only two. That is why we use the superlative. And in this case, the adjective is popular. Notice the distinction. Once again, this is one of the irregular adjectives. And this case requires to use the most. Guys, it's very important. We need the two words, the most. If it is the short version, we use the. That would be it. Similar to the idea of the comparatives, of course, the superlative has the same intention. We gotta be careful with the number of syllables that the word has. But notice that in essence, they are pretty much the same. If the adjective is short, we add the suffix, like in this case, smartest. If the adjective is long, expensive, we're talking about 3 syllables, then what we use is the most. That is basically the idea. And similar to the previous case of the comparatives, we also have special rules for the spelling. And notice that it, in essence, is exactly the same, you know. If the adjective is short, we add the suffix. In this case, we don't need to repeat the E. Once again, if the adjective is short and is consonant, vowel, consonant, I have to repeat the consonant, you know? And once again, if the adjective is short and finishes with Y, I have to make the whole transformation in spelling. Of course, this is an aspect for you to keep in mind when we are writing down the adjectives. At the end of the day, in essence, they are pretty much the same. Remember probably the main difference. Comparatives, we can see the two things, the two ideas, the two concepts that are being compared, while the superlatives, we're talking about that there is one predominant among many other things. And of course, you know that everything is not perfect. Let's put it like that. There will always be exceptions. That means that all the rules that we have already, let's say, studied, but I know that you know, don't apply to these adjectives in particular. These are the most common. We have good, far, bad, little, and many. As you know, as you notice in one of the examples, the superlative would be the best. Gooder doesn't exist. Goodest doesn't exist. It is a special case. Far, when we are talking about like a long distance between one point to the other, we have further and the farthest. But which is the opposite of good, you already know. The comparative is worse and the superlative is the worst. We have little, we have less, and we have least. We have many, we have more, and we have most. So these are the most common adjectives that are considered irregular adjectives, because when we make the transformation, we don't have any of the other rules to apply to it, okay? Well, guys, as I was telling you, just to refresh your memory, but I would like to know if you have any questions, something that you would like to clarify. Questions? Okay. Let's practice. We will have two different practices. One, of course, related to the grammatical component. One more related to you creating ideas and to put all those rules into practice. We haven't, well, in this part of the class, because I know that you have already done that, we're going to play a Kahoot tonight. Let me share the information of the game. I'm going to send the link to the chat, or you can just use the QR code, whatever is easier for you. There is a microphone open. Maybe I would like to know you have a question. Okay.
Teacher, can you say the link, please?
Sure. I'm going to send it. There you go. So for the moment, we have Natalia, Hamilton, Mendes, Xiomara, Karen, Kiara again, Karen, acá, María V, Jorge, Beatriz, Santiago, Vanessa, Marlon, Catherine, and Manuel, and Jessica. 15 out of 20. Well, 19, actually. Let's wait one more minute and then we start. Okay, guys, let's begin. Remember, we're talking about comparatives and superlatives. Most of the questions actually are related to choose the correct answer. Let's use the sound, of course. Let's begin. Only 10 questions. Pretty short and simple. Okay, very good. The first picture, notice that in the second one, although we have bigger, we don't have the word then, and it's necessary most of the time when we are comparing. Remember, guys, that the picture is going to be your point of reference. Manuel, excellent. Next picture, next question, sorry. Very good, the largest. Well, let's analyze the other answer. Notice that the red one actually is redundant. We have most. If we have most, then we don't have to use the suffix, but the thing is that it is a short adjective. So the proper, let's say, transformation would be to use the suffix and not to use the most. In the case of the comparatives, we can't use it in this case because we're comparing one city among many other cities around the world. And well, maybe in this case, although it looks like kind of correct, remember that large is a short adjective, so we can't say most large. The only way is the largest. Okay. Okay, very good. Nothing really to say. Difficulty doesn't exist. And notice that we can see the two things that are being compared, mathematics and English. So most doesn't fit in here. It is not like one subject among many subjects, math and English. We could see the difference between both of them. Changes. Karen, very good. You were faster. Let's have a look at number 4. Excellent. Well, actually, there is nothing to say. Once again, this is redundant. We have most, we don't need then the EST, but beautiful is a long adjective. Beautiful, 3 syllables. That is why we have to use the most and no more transformations. Changes. Manuel, you are back on top. Number 5. Very good. Nothing to say. Careful with this transformation. Notice dangerous is too long to assign just the ER. One of the exceptions, notice that in the red one, we missed then. We use it for the comparatives. Okay, changes. Casi. Number 7, let's see. Okay. Just an example, Jorge, don't worry. Once again, best is already the superlative. We don't need to add the prefix in this case. Natalia. Well, we're about to finish this Kahoot. Well, remember that this is one of the exceptions. Just a matter of learning them by heart. You know, I know that sometimes it is annoying, but at the end of the day, that's how it works. Changes. We already know that it's an exception as well. That would be something that we may believe, you know, because we say, okay, far is short, consonant, vowel, consonant, then we repeat the R. Remember that in this case, the exception doesn't apply to it. Final question. Okay. There were many different answers in this case. Sad is short. So we, in this case, the rules apply. I mean, the rule actually. An adjective, consonant, vowel, consonant. So let's double the D. In this case, we didn't double the D. This doesn't exist because notice that we have the superlative and then the comparative. That wouldn't make sense. And notice that in the case of the green one, if we're using the superlative, literally we can't, guys. It is impossible, incorrect to use than. Than only applies to the comparatives. And remember that this suffix applies only to the superlatives. Well, we will continue practicing in a moment, of course. Natalia, very good. Karen A. Absolute winner, Manuel. Excellent, congrats. And Santiago and Kiara. Very good. Well, guys, notice that in general aspects, when we are talking about the rules and the grammatical component, we consider that it is easy, and actually it is. I'm not going to say that, oh no, wait, complicated or something like that. But there will be always elements that we need to keep in mind, that we always need to analyze. And when we put them in practice is when we know if we have to make any adjustment. And this is the next part. And remember that this unit has been, well, we just started the unit, but we have been talking about geography, right? You're going to write 6 sentences, okay? Comparing your country to a nearby country or an English-speaking country, whatever you want. The idea, guys, is that these examples or these statements have the following topics. Let's put it like that. Cities, climate, cost of living, population, scenery, and size. I'm not telling you that you have to include these words inside the sentence. The idea is that you take into account this topic to create these topics, because there are 6, to create your statements, okay? The idea then, as you notice, is to write 3 using comparatives and 3 using superlatives, you know? That would be like basically the idea. In the case of cities, you can say that Colombia has more cities than, that Colombia has the best whatever. Here on this box that says country, you are going to write down the country you are comparing Colombia to, okay? I don't know, maybe some of you are in this moment, look, I know, I remember that this project, everyone is here in Santander. So the idea is that on this box, you write down the name of the other country that you're comparing Colombia to, okay? Okay.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you very much. So I'm gonna send you the link first, and then I'm gonna share with you the image so you know which slide you will be working on. Remember, guys, that we have changed numbers and participants. So for example, Natalia goes to number 6. Catherine Alexandra will be working on slide 15. Manuel on slide 18. So remember, guys, that based on the number is the slide where you will be working on, okay? So make sure that in the moment that you land on the presentation, go and write down your name on the slide. Guys, I would like to know, do you have any questions about the activity?
Bueno, I have a question. Only write Colombia or maybe write other country?
The idea, at least for example, is that on this box, you're going to write the other country you will be comparing Colombia to. Or maybe let's say that you want to talk about other countries. I'm going to use maybe a slide that doesn't have what all of you are here. I'm going to write on the slide number 20 for the moment. So if you want to change it, let me share the whole screen. Let's say, for example, let's change it. We can say countries. Let's say that you want to talk about different places. So let's say Peru and double R. I'm sorry. That's embarrassing. I don't know. Peru and Venezuela. What is wrong with me tonight? So in this box, you can write the 2 countries that you want to compare. Okay, in case that you don't want to talk about or compare Colombia with another country. So in this box, you can write the names of the 2 countries that you want to compare. Okay, Beatriz?
Thank you.
Okay, but for the one that said, okay, I don't mind, I want to compare Colombia. Okay, so here in the part, in this box, you only write the name of the other country. And then I get the idea that you are comparing Colombia with the country that you just write down on that box. Okay, remember, guys, don't forget to write your names. I'm gonna give you first 15 minutes when I'm not going to interrupt you, you know. And then I will start having, let's say, an official look to your slides to see if there is any correction to be made. Don't forget, guys, the idea, talking about comparatives, superlatives, and that these 6 topics are present, you know, as the main idea of your sentences. That would be it. No more interruptions, 15 minutes starting now. Okay, guys, remember that during these first 15 minutes, I wasn't going to interrupt you, just like to let your ideas flow. I'm going to start have a look at your statements. I'm going to start from the final slide to the first one, well, what I can cover in these 10 minutes. I know that some of you are from your cell phones. Maybe some of you will send them to the chat. Remember, guys, that they did that hopefully and eventually, sorry, you can do the activity properly, like putting the information in the corresponding slide. Let me see the chat. These are Kiara's. Okay. I'm going to put them on your slide. In your case, it will be number 4. In your case, you decided to talk about Canada. Okay, I will check them in a moment. For the moment, Vanessa Colombia has more cities than El Salvador. The population of Colombia is greater than the population of St. Lucia with Tarantantan. Okay. Maria Alejandra, in your case, you're comparing to Norway. Norway cities are colored than Colombia cities. Very good. Yeah, guys, notice that the possessive, I've already noticed just by some of those statements that I've been scanning to talk about like the cities of Colombia, or you can also say Colombian, talking about nationality, but we have to make any transformation. In your case, Maria, of course, they are correct. Is the rainiest in the world? The cost of living is more expensive than Norway. Colombia has more population than Norway. The scenery of Colombia is one of the most beautiful in the world. Very good. I'm just confused. Let me check one thing. Of course. Yeah. Perfect, Maria. Let's have a look at Manuel. We are comparing Colombia to Uruguay. Populated Montevideo. Uruguayan. Okay, the nationality, but are typically colder than Colombian. Living in Colombia is cheaper than living in Uruguay. Colombia is the happiest country in the world. Montevideo is the coldest city in Uruguay. Okay. 5 for the moment, while 17 is still missing. 17 is Mandy. Hopefully later you can upload them. Let's put them like that. Let's have a look at Marlon's.
Teacher, yo la termino ahorita.
Perfect. Berlin is colder than Bogotá. Germany had the best quality of life in the European Union. Marlon, in your slide 17, you said Germany had, like in the past. That doesn't happen anymore? Or it still has? It's just like a question for me to clarify the idea, You said Germany had. Marlon?
Sorry, teacher. Can you repeat?
Sure. The second statement that you created is in past. I'm not saying that the sentence is correct. It's incorrect, sorry. In terms of grammar, it's correct. But I just wanted to make sure that you are comparing Colombia, with a present situation. You said had. You mean past or you want to talk about present?
Have. Yes.
Has.
Has.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not, once again, the sentence grammatically is correct, but I just wanted to check that. The next one, guys, I forgot to tell you to put numbers. I'm gonna do that with yours, Marlon, sorry. And notice that the best quality. In the third one, you have the adjective low. Low is a short adjective, So in that case, most low, it is not appropriate. Would be talking about the superlative, of course, the lowest. Okay. Entonces, para que haga la corrección, Marlon, please. In number 4, Marlon noticed that it is a little bit redundant because you said more happier. We don't need more because happy already has the transformation, okay? That is why more would be like redundant. It's basically the idea. There is a statement that I hadn't seen. Yara, you change them. Okay. Careful with that correction. Let's have a look at number 5. Colombia is larger than Germany, but Germany had more population than Colombia. Well, once again, it's in past, but we have already clarified that part. And number 6. Yeah, guys, what numbers? I think that Colombia had the best landscape of the world, but his violence and war. Okay. We already clarified is present. But his, in this case, we can't use his because we are not talking about a person. Would be its, right? And war don't permit it. ¿No permitió o no permite, Marlon?
Permite.
Doesn't permit. Bueno, de hecho son cosas. Violence, two things. Violence and war don't permit. Remember that then we have to make the transformation and use the auxiliaries to talk about past. Okay. We still have a few minutes left. I already checked Marlon's. No me pasé. This was Marlon's. Manuel. Let's see, Bogotá is more populated than Montevideo. I already checked it. What happened with my eyes? That was Marlon's. Catherine's, yes. I think that I can check 2 more. Australia would be Australia's cities, like las ciudades de Australia, or Australian cities, ciudades australianas, whatever you prefer, but only Australia is a little bit incomplete. Okay, Catherine, so any of the possibilities that I already told you would be okay. So you choose whatever you prefer. Other than those were in Colombia. Australia's weather climate is better than Colombia's weather. Would be the same. Colombia's weather, el clima de Colombia, o Colombian weather, el clima colombiano, you prefer. Because living in Colombia is a lot more expensive than Australia. Australia has more population than Colombia. Colombia has better scenery. Yaibas. Very good. Jessica Paola. Pretty much the same idea, like Brazilian cities. Would be better in this case to use the nationality. And Jessica, ¿sí me están escuchando, Jessica?
Yes, teacher.
Perfect. Because we're talking about cities, because it's plural. Are more ¿qué? Here we need an adjective. Are more important, are more interesting. If we're talking about size, Brazilian cities are bigger, you know, but after more, here in the part that I placed the line, the idea is to put an adjective. Climate of Colombia is warmer than Brazil. The cost of living in Colombia is cheaper than in Brazil. The population in Brazil is more abundant than Colombia. Okay. One more before we go to our break. Xiomaras, in Canada, winter is stronger than in Colombia. The infrastructure of Canada is more beautiful than in Colombia. In Colombia, security is greater than in Canada. Quality of life is better in Canada. Canada is the largest country in the American continent. Colombia and Canada have the best landscapes in the world. Xiomara, excellent. Let's have a look at Hamilton's. Canada is cooler than Colombia. Canada is will be a bigger country. Un país más than Colombia. People in Canada has a better style of life, okay, than Colombia. Colombia has a larger population than Canada. The scenery in Colombia is as beautiful as Canada. Nice comparative. In this case, talking about equal aspects. Colombians apparently, in this case, because it's plural, Hamilton, are funnier than Canadians. Colombia's unemployment rate is higher than Canada. The railroad tracks in Canada, once again, because tracks is plural, are. Okay, very good. Well, guys, I know that you pay attention to your statements in particular, but the idea is also to have, maybe while you listen to the corrections that I provide to the other slides, you notice that, okay, I have to add this, I have to make this also another transformation and things like that. Okay, guys, very good. I'm sure that you are like about to finish this part. We're going to finish the first part of our session in this moment. If you haven't finished your sentences, I'm sure that you will eventually do that. Remember, guys, that tonight, on the second part of the session, you are going to meet me again. We will continue working, of course, on our unit 3, sorry. That would be pages 28 and 29, okay? So, guys, see you in 15 minutes. Bye-bye.
Bye, Miss. Bye, bye.
Bye,
See you in a moment.